Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have done question number 1 of exercise 1.1 of the first chapter. So from this video, we are going to do from question number 2. Okay. Now, as we start question number 2, let's start with reading the question. The first and foremost step is to read the question and understand the question. Only then we will be able to do the solution. Okay. So let's read the question. In a quiz, positive marks are given for correct answers and negative marks are given for incorrect answers. If Jack's score in 5 successive rounds were 25, -5, -10, 15 and 10, what was his total score at the end? So this is our question. Now, in our question, they're telling us that there is a quiz competition going on and Jack was the participant, right? Now, in this quiz competition, there were 5 rounds. Jack scored a particular score in each round, right? So they have asked us to calculate his total score in the competition, right? So let's see how to calculate the total score in his competition. The scores are: in round 1, Jack has scored 25. In round 2, Jack has scored -5. In round 3, Jack has scored -10. And likewise in round 4, 15. And in round 5, 10. Right? So now let's see how to calculate the total score. Total score of Jack can be calculated by adding the marks of round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4 and round 5, right? So now we substitute the respective values for each round. Round 1, he scored 25 marks, right? Round 2, he scored -5 and likewise we substitute each score for every round. Now, as you can see, he scored 25, -5, -10, 15 and 10 and we have substituted that in the second line, right? Now let's go on to the third part of the calculation. Now before going to the third part, I want you to look here carefully. There are plus, minus and plus minus signs here, which means there are two signs here and here, right? So first and foremost will be to write 25 as it is and then to solve this plus minus and make it minus according to the rule, right? So let's see. 25 remains the same. Plus minus becomes minus. Then 5 remains the same again. Plus minus becomes minus again. And the rest 10, 15 and 10 will remain the same again. Right? So now in the next step, we know that when many numbers are given, we take the first two numbers and solve it, and then we take it with the third and then we solve it and we go on in that procedure, right? So let's see. 25 minus 5 is 20, right? And the rest of the numbers will remain the same, including the signs, right? And again, we have continued the same step. 25 minus 5, we have got 20. Then we have written the same thing below, right? You can see that minus 10 plus 15 plus 10 is the same as minus 10 plus 15 plus 10 from this step, right? And then we have taken these two numbers, 20 and 10, and we have made it 10, right? Now the same steps are being continued here. You can see all the three are positive numbers and we all know how to add positive numbers. So we know that 10 plus 15 plus 10 will be 35, right? So we have our answer, which is 35. That means Jack participated in the competition. He had 5 rounds and each round he scored a particular score, right? And we were told to find the total. So we added all the scores and we used integer addition rules and we found that his total score at the end of the competition was 35. All right. So now let's go on to the next question. Now let us read the question carefully. At Srinagar, temperature was -5 degrees Celsius on Monday and then it dropped by 2 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. What was the temperature of Srinagar on Tuesday? And next part of the question is, on Wednesday, it rose by 4 degrees Celsius and we need to find what was the temperature on this day, which means on Wednesday, right? So, looking at the question, two phrases are of much importance. You need to notice two phrases first. The first phrase is dropped by. Dropped by is one phrase that you need to understand. And the next phrase that you need to understand is rose by. Now, what does these two phrases mean? What is dropped by and what is rose by? We need to know this in order to solve this question, okay? So let us understand what dropped by means. Dropped by means decreased by. If you decrease something, it is called dropped by, okay? So to drop by means to decrease by. And how do you decrease something? We subtract it, right? In order to decrease something, we subtract something from it, right? So that is what dropped by means. Likewise, let us see how the temperature -5 degrees Celsius on Monday dropped by 2 degrees Celsius. So, they have told us in the question that -5 degrees temperature was dropped by 2 degrees Celsius. Dropped by means to decrease, right? So that means we need to decrease -5 degrees Celsius by 2 degrees Celsius, right? And how do we decrease? Let's see. -5 degrees when decreased by 2 degrees is -5 degrees Celsius minus 2 degrees Celsius. Why did we minus? Because decreasing means to subtract, right? So -5 degrees Celsius when dropped by 2 degrees Celsius, we get -5 degrees Celsius minus 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what is the answer? According to integer addition, we have minus minus plus, right? So 5 plus 2 will give us 7 degrees Celsius, and when we look at the numbers 5 and 2, what is the greater number? 5 is the greater number. So the answer will also have the sign of the greater number, which is -7, right? So as you can see, they have given us in the question that on Monday it was -5 degrees Celsius, and when the temperature decreased by 2 degrees Celsius, it became -7 degrees Celsius, right? Now let us go on into the second part of the question. Now, in the second part of the question, we can see the phrase rose by, right? The temperature rose by. Now, what does rose by means? Rose by means to increase by. Rise means to increase, right? This is the past tense of rise, rose. Rose means to increase, right? And when we want to increase something, what do? We add them, right? So that means to rise by means to increase by, and to increase something, we add it, right? So let's see how we use this in the question. So in the question, we have seen that -7 degrees Celsius is the temperature on Tuesday. We have found it out, right? Now they have told us in the second part of the question that on Wednesday, the temperature rose by 4 degrees Celsius. Now, -7 degrees, when it is rising or when it is increased by 4 degrees Celsius, it becomes -7 degrees Celsius plus 4 degrees Celsius, right? Plus 4 degrees Celsius, right? Why plus? Because plus indicates increasing, right? So -7 degrees Celsius, which was the temperature on Tuesday, increased by 4 degrees Celsius on Wednesday. Now let us see what is the temperature on Wednesday. So the temperature on Wednesday is minus 3 degrees Celsius, right? So the temperature on Wednesday is minus 3 degrees Celsius because on the first day, on Tuesday, it was minus 7 degrees Celsius, and on Wednesday, it increased by, or it rose by 4 degrees Celsius, which means minus plus, we have to minus it using the integer rules. 7 minus 4 is 3. And as you can see, 7 is the greater number. So we put the greater number sign for the answer. Okay. So this is how we solved and we found out. So we can say that. So the temperature which was given on Tuesday is minus 7. We have found it out in the previous section. Then they told us that it increased by 4 degrees Celsius. So it increased by 4 degrees Celsius means plus 4 degrees Celsius, which we get minus 3 degrees on Wednesday, right? So that is how we got the temperatures on Tuesday and on Wednesday. And in the previous section, we have seen the temperature on Tuesday, right? So this is how we calculate it. Now, let us go on into the next question. Now, let us read the next question. A plane is flying at a height of 5,000 meters above the sea level. At a particular point, it is exactly above a submarine floating 1,200 meters below the sea level. What is the vertical distance between them? Now, looking at this question, we need to observe a particular part of the question. In order to understand the question, we need to understand the meaning of the word sea level. As you can see in the question, sea level, okay, as you can see, sea level means the surface level of the sea, or the point from which we measure any height. Okay, the point from which we measure any height is called the sea level, or you can simply say the place where the surface of the water starts, right? So this is the sea level, right? The sea did not start from here, the sea did not start from here. As you can see, the water starts from here, so this is the sea level, right? Now the next word is vertical distance. What is the vertical distance? Let's see. Vertical distance means the distance from top to bottom. What is the vertical distance? Vertical distance of something means this distance. Okay, the distance that is measured from top to bottom is called the vertical distance. So if I want to measure the vertical distance from this cloud to the sea level, how do I measure? I take this measurement, right? So that is vertical. Okay, now for your additional information, there are two types of distances. The distance measured from top to bottom is called vertical, and the distance that is measured from side to side, left to right or right to left, this distance is called the horizontal distance. Okay, so anyway, we need to know what is vertical distance. Now what is vertical distance again? Vertical distance means the distance from top to bottom or bottom to top. That is the vertical distance. Okay. So now look at the question. They have asked us to find the vertical distance between the plane and the submarine. Now you can see that this plane is at 5,000 meters from the sea level. So can you see from where we measured? We measured it from the sea level to the top of the plane, which is 5,000 meter, right? Now, in the second part of the question, it is given that submarine is floating 1,200 meter below the sea level, right? So below the sea level means from the sea level we measure it below, right? So from the sea level we measure below, and it is 1,200 meter, and this is the submarine, right? So we have the height from the sea level to the plane and from the sea level to the submarine. So let us see how to calculate the height between the plane and the submarine. Okay, that is what they have asked us. Let us see. Now we can see that vertical distance means this distance, right? Now this is the sea level This is 5,000 meter and this is 1,200 meter. So vertical distance means what? 5,000 meter plus 1,200 meter, right? It is clear from the picture, right? So let us see. So the vertical distance between them is height of the plane from the sea level. This is the height of the plane from the sea level and plus height of the submarine from the sea level. So this is the height of the submarine from the sea level. So the total height will be what? Total height will be 5,000 plus 1,200. So that is what we are going to see. Now 5,200 meter plus 1,200 meter. So normal addition using the integer rules, 5,200 plus 1,200 will give us 6,200 meter, right? So 5,000 plus 1,200 normal addition will give us 6,200 meter. Now we have got the vertical distance between the plane and the submarine, which is 6,200 meter, right? Now simple question. Now let us proceed on to the next question. Now let us read the fifth question. As we can see the first word itself, Mohan. So the character in this question is Mohan. Mohan is a man, right? Now what does Mohan do? Mohan deposits rupees 2,000 in his bank account and withdraws rupees 1,642 from it the next day. If withdrawal of amount from the account is represented by a negative integer, then how will you represent the amount deposited? Find the balance in Mohan's account after the withdrawal. Now, after reading this question, we need to focus on two words mainly. Okay, let's see which words are those. Deposits. The first word that you need to focus on is deposits, right? And the second word is, let us see, withdraws. Okay, so the first word is deposits and the second word is withdraws. So looking at this question, in order to understand this question, first you need to understand what deposits mean and what withdraws mean. Okay, so let us see what these two words mean. Okay, so deposit means to put into the bank account and withdraw means to take out of the bank account. Now, putting and taking out, these are opposite actions, right? So to deposit means to put into the bank account and withdraw means to take out of the bank account. Now let us understand this question further. That's why deposit is the opposite of withdrawal, right? Deposit means to put and withdraw means to take out, which means deposit and withdrawal are opposite actions, right? Okay. Now we need to focus on the second part of the question. What does the second part of the question say? Withdrawal is represented by a negative integer. Withdrawal is represented by a negative integer. And we have seen that deposit is opposite of withdrawal. So, keeping these things in mind, we can find out the sign of deposit. Okay, we know the sign of withdrawal. It is represented by a negative number as given in the question. So we are going to find out how deposit is represented, right? So withdrawal is 1,642 rupees and deposit was 2,000 rupees, right? Withdrawal is minus 1,642 rupees. Why? Because as we have seen, withdrawal is represented by a negative integer. That is what in the question is given, right? And we have also seen that withdrawal and deposit are opposite to each other. So since withdrawal is negative, definitely deposit should be positive, right? So deposit is the opposite of withdrawal Deposit means to put in the bank account and withdraw means to take out of the bank account. So withdrawal will be negative and deposit will be positive. Therefore, deposit will be represented by a positive number, right? Now, on the first day and on the second day, he did something. Mohan did something. And that is what in the question says that Mohan deposited rupees 2000 on the first day, and on the second day he withdrew rupees 1642, right? So on the first day he deposited 2000 rupees, and on the second day he took out or he withdrew 1642 rupees. Now we have to calculate how much money he has in total after carrying out this action. Okay, so let us see. Therefore, the balance in Mohan's account after withdrawal is 2000 minus 1642 rupees. 2000 he deposited on the first day, 1642 he took out on the second day. So now he has left over 358 rupees, which we got by subtracting, because withdraw means to subtract, right? We have seen that already, right? So at the end, Mohan has how much rupees balance in his account? 358 rupees balance in his account, right? So now let us go on into the next question. Now in the next question, let us read. Rita goes 20 kilometers towards east from a point A to a point B. From B, she moves 30 kilometers towards west along the same road. If the distance towards east is represented by a positive integer, then how will you represent the distance towards west? By which integer will you represent her final position from A? So let me break down this question for you. They have told us that west is the opposite direction of east, right? So this is a road. This is towards the east side and this is towards the west side. We have 2 points given in the question, A and B, right? Now, the part of the question that we need to focus on now is distance towards east is represented by a positive integer, right? Now, what does that mean? It means that all the distance that we measure towards east, okay, any distance that we measure from this point towards east is going to have positive sign, okay? That is what it means, right? Now, as we can see, west is the opposite of east. East is towards this side. West is towards this side. So obviously, if this is positive, then this side is going to be what? Can you tell me the answer? Yes, you have guessed it right. It is negative, right? So we have seen that west is the opposite of east. East is positive. So definitely west will be negative, right? So every distance measured from this point to this side is positive, and this point to this side is going to be negative, right? Therefore, we can say that all the distances towards west are going to be negative and all the distances towards east are going to be positive, right? Now, the next part of the question that we need to focus on is what is the final position from A? Okay, we have to find the final position of the girl from A. What is the girl's name? Rita. So let us see. Now, let me elaborate the question once more. Rita is standing at point A. As you can see, this is point A, this is point B, this is the west, and this is the east side. Everything that goes from here on is positive and everything that goes from here on is negative, right? Now you can see that Rita is standing at point A and Rita is going to go from point A to B, right? That is towards east. How many kilometers? Let us see. Now 20 kilometers, right? As you can see, Rita goes from point A to point B, which is 20 kilometers from point A, and since it is towards east, it is positive, right? Now we can see that Rita is at point B, right? Now what does Rita do further? Let's see. Rita goes from point B towards point C. Look, observe, Rita goes from point B towards point C, which is minus 30 kilometer away, right? Once more, let us observe once more. Rita goes from point B to point C, which is minus 30 kilometer away because this is towards the west and west is negative, right? Now, as we observe here, we can see that the distance from B to C, okay, the total distance that Rita covered at the end from B to C is a mixture of two distances. What is the distance? BA and AC, right? So BC is actually AB plus AC, right? So that is what we have told here. Going from B to C involves two steps. First you go from B to A, then you go from A to C, right? Now let's see. B to A is 20 kilometers, right? And B to C is minus 30 kilometers. This is positive because it's towards east, and this is negative because it's towards west, right? So this is a summary of the video that we have seen right now, right? Rita's movements, right? Now, here, as you can see, BC is 30 kilometer, AB is 20 kilometer, which means CA is 30 minus 20. Now we have got that her position is 10 kilometer. So she's at her final 10 kilometer position, right? Now we know that it is towards the west. So we know that her position is minus 10. Her position is shown by the integer minus 10. Why? Because 10 kilometer we have already got. She is at 10 kilometer right now. She is at C, which is at 10 kilometer, and it is towards the west, and west is negative, right? So minus 10. So what is the reason? 10 is negative, as we have seen earlier that the distance towards west is negative. We have seen that this is negative, right? So to sum up, A to B, first she goes from A to B 20 kilometer. Then she goes from B to C, which is 30 kilometer, right? We have to find what her final position is. To find her final position, what do? We take the big one, 30 minus 20, we get the smaller one, 10. Obviously 10 plus 20 is 30, right? So that's why this is 10, right? So that is what we have done here. 10 plus 20 is 30. So 30 minus 20 will be 10, right? Now this is 10, this is 20, and this is 30, right? So this is 10, but it is minus 10. Why is it minus 10? Because from this position, if I measure any distance towards this position, it will be negative. We have seen that in the previous slides, right? So 10 is negative, as we have seen earlier that the distance towards west is negative. So that means her final position is shown by the integer minus 10. All right. I hope that all of you have understood all the questions that we have done today. Make sure that you have watched the video several times and you have learned these questions well, okay? And in the next videos, we'll be doing the next questions, all right? So please study well and have a great day. Thank you.